Happy New Year, everybody. It's Guardian Enzo coming to you with the 2020 Anime of the Year video. The first time we've ever done our number one pick on YouTube. Of course, you can see the rest of my year end top 10 list by clicking on the link below to lostinanime.com. And we'll be coming out with the 11 through 20 list and the year end wrap up and all that other good year in review stuff in the next day or two, including a listener poll, which is an annual tradition. But this year, I thought it would be fun, since I'm doing YouTube now, to do the anime of the year on YouTube. And if you've been following the blog for much of the year, I can't think that the anime of the year is going to be a surprise to too many of you, especially if you happen to have been following the 2 through 9 or 2 through 10 on the list. But without further ado, and without much surprise or suspense, the anime of the year for 2020 is Golden Kamui Season 3. And again, this in addition to being unsurprising, I don't think it's particularly close either. At least it wasn't for me. There have been times during the course of the year when I thought other series might be the number one show. Certainly, Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun would finish second. That was a strong contender. For a while, Great Pretender was another show I thought had a real shot at it. The final core of, or the final arc of that one kind of let the side down. But in the end, Golden Kamui was the clear winner. And the thing with Golden Kamui, I would say, is I expected this show to be really good because the first two seasons were really good. They were both in the mid range of my top 10 lists for those years. But the third season was an absolute major upgrade over the first two. The only other recent examples of anime that improved this much in sequel seasons that I can think of are maybe Concrete Revolution Season 2 and Karakai Jozu Takagi-san Season 2, both of which were considerably better than the originals, both of which I liked, but certainly not as good as the second season. And Golden Kamui, better than either of those shows for me. Close to great in the second season, I would say. Achieved great in the third season. It wasn't a terrific year for anime in 2020 by any stretch of the imagination. Part of that was certainly due to the pandemic and the havoc it caused with production. But also part of it, if we're honest, was an unforced error, which is the continued sort of creative dilution of the industry as a result of the dominance of the production company system. But through that, the first few shows on the list this year are perfectly legitimate top of list candidates, and Golden Kamui is seriously good. The third season was absolutely tremendous. I think we saw some significant upgrades in animation quality this season, which I think is a reflection of the fact that the series has proved to be financially very successful, more so than certainly I expected. I would say this year the music by Suehiro Kenichiro, which has always been a strong part of Golden Kamui, but this year's setting just seemed to really allow that music to flower. It really almost became an anime Dr. Zhivago in a sense. This trip to Russia, across Sakhalin Island, it was really epic. And the thing about Golden Kamui, this is something that I often say about great great anime and great art in general, is that it can be epic and it can be personal at the same time, and that's what this season of Golden Kamui was. It told a great epic story with a ton of sweep. The director Nanba Hitoshi did a fantastic job, but it also was very personal, and it was the lives of the characters that drove the story. And I think it's also fair to say, I think of all the things I've written about Golden Kamui over the three seasons, I think to me the one thing that feels the most true is that the essence of this series' success is that the mangaka Noda Satoru writes every character as if they're the main character in their own series. And that's what you have, is a cast full of incredibly vibrant and colorful and distinct and likable, in cases where people shouldn't even be likable, characters, and they all have the stature of main characters, even if we only see them occasionally. I think a great example of this a great example of this would be Hijikata, who actually had a very small role this season, and smaller, in fact, than in the manga, where much of his material was actually edited out of the season to make a more conducive narrative with the two main groups. But he had a couple of episodes where he was really outstanding, and the episodes that where Hijikata was in focus, those were episodes where he was the main character of their series, and there's no awkwardness, there's no transition. It just feels like, okay, he's the protagonist. And I really believe that's a huge component of the success of this series is that sense that all of the characters can carry it at the moment when the camera is on them. The main character, of course, is Sugimoto and Asirpa. Those are the male and female protagonists, and they're fantastic and wonderful. But there's so many other incredible characters here. You can hardly go up and down the list. There's so many of them, and they all carry the series when the moment calls for them to do it. And I think a great thing about Golden Kamuy as well, which we saw beautifully on display this season, it's always been true, but we saw it beautifully on display, is this contrast between highbrow and lowbrow. It has a very Monty Python-esque kind of a really, really silly screwball sense of humor that's combined with a real intellectual bent. And Python did that in us, obviously something thematically very different, and Golden Kamuy does it as well. And it tells a very important story, and it isn't afraid of making political statements in the process of doing it. And the indigenous people and the way they've been treated, it's not a topic that's encouraged in either Japan or Russia, which are the two countries that are at the heart of this series, of this season, especially with Russia. But it's a very important story, and Noda does not shy away from telling it in a very unvarnished way, which is something I really appreciate. And again, all I can say is not a great year for anime, but a great, great year for Golden Kamuy. It was a clear upgrade on the first two seasons. A tremendous season from Golden Kamuy. Will we see a fourth season? Yes, I think we will. Nothing is ever definitive in anime. I think we know that. But I feel like this series has been successful enough. It's increasingly more popular, seemingly, as it goes along. The manga continues to sell well. I suspect we will get a fourth season, maybe in a year, maybe a little more. I think there would be just barely enough material for a fourth season now, maybe a little more than just barely enough, but I think they'll probably give the manga another year to build up a lead. And then we'll see it. Hopefully in tandem with another season of Vinland Saga. That would be a great double bill for 2022, although Lord knows I'd love to see Vinland Saga even sooner. So that's the anime of the year 2020. It's Golden Kamuy season 3. Again, not a close call. Love all the shows on my top 10 list. I mean, Jibaku Shonen, Major Second, season 2, wonderful, wonderful shows. Great Pretender had a great run, but without any question about it, anime of the season, Golden Kamuy. Again, if you click on the link in the description, you will see my year-end top 10 list in its entirety. And again, coming up in the next few days, the first few days of the year, we'll have the 11 through 20 list, the listener, viewer, reader poll for the anime of the year, and other year-end wrap-up stuff. And then, of course, we segue into the winter season and some very interesting shows coming up there as well. As always, I thank everyone sincerely. I know it's been a tough year, but it was my 10th year at Lost in Anime, and I sincerely, deeply feel gratitude to everybody who's supported the site over the years, whether that be just through commenting, whether it be through reading, whether it be through Patreon or PayPal. You guys are great. You've been awesome. I hope you stay with me on this ride as we go forward, as YouTube becomes a bigger part of it, as I'm sure it will. If you like what you see, of course, I would be very grateful if you would like or subscribe or both. And of course, please share your comments. I love to see those. As you know, I respond to comments pretty diligently, so I like that dialogue. And I hope you guys all are having a great new year. I hope 2021 is better for everybody than 2020 was. And I look forward to another interesting year of anime. Hopefully better for anime than 2020 was as well, but it would be hard to top Golden Kamuy. If Golden Kamuy is the best series of the year, that's not a bad year, I guess, in that sense. So thanks, everybody. Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2021. Stay frosty.